Next is actually implementing the functionality to verify the email address. At this point, the user is able to receive the email notification, and let's actually verify their email account. So in here, we are going to receive a request, and we'll basically do a couple of checks. The first is if the URL that the user has passed through does not have a valid signed signature. So has valid signature. Remember that when we generated the URL, we said that it has an expiry date. So if the hash, for instance, is not valid, or the signature, the time that we provided with the email is expired, then we cannot proceed with verifying that account. So to do that, the URL class comes with a method called hasValidSignature, which takes the request URL and checks for the expiry date and the hash to be sure that it's still valid. So if it doesn't, then we want to return response JSON, and here we'll just return with a status of invalid verification link or signature. Let's just say link may be expired. Then we can also check to see if the user has already verified their email, just like we did before. So request user has verified email. So if the user has already verified their email, then again we want to return response JSON, and we'll return that in a status called email already verified. So we won't try to verify an email that is already verified. Now, if the user makes it to this point, it means that they've clicked on a valid link and they have not verified their email yet. So let's just say if request user mark email as verified. Again, this is a method that comes with the must verify interface. So if we successfully mark the user's email as verified, which means in the database, it simply put a timestamp under the email verified at, then we can just broadcast an event, new verified, and that is an event that comes with Laravel. We don't create it ourselves. And we simply broadcast that event to say this user has been verified. So if you want to send an email to the user to say your account was successfully verified, all you have to do is listen for this event and send out that email. In this case, we are not going to be sending another email. We're just going to leave it at that, but we will broadcast that event regardless. So here, let's return response JSON. We don't want to return anything, and with a 200 response to say this is successful. So if everything works the way we expect it to, we should be able to go to Postman, and under the verify, we can just try to get the user's verification information. Now, we see that we are making a request to the backend to auth verify email. We need to pass the user hash ID and the signature that we derived. So we're basically going to go here in the email that we received and copy this and just fix it up a little bit. So let me open Sublime Text and do that in here. So here I'm going to cut that out, the verify URL. So let's replace the URL encodings here. So actually the %2f is /. So we are going to replace our instances of that with /. Again, if we're doing this, when we do this in Nuxt, we won't have to do any of this. Nuxt will handle it for us. The %3f, I believe, is a question mark. The %3d is an equal sign. So expires is that. And then the %26 is an ampersand. All right. So we are passing through the expiry date, which is this, and the signature, which is that. And that is generated by Laravel using the temporary signed URL. So let's copy this over and we paste that in Postman. and we try to send that request. So if I just put a C here, or let's put an X here, we know that I've tampered with the signature and it's no longer valid. So if I click there, it will still say the link is not valid or it's expired. But if I remove that and I send this request, now we don't receive anything in response, which is good. And we have a 200 response code. More importantly, if we go to the user table and we refresh, then we see it says, it gives a timestamp here for when the email was verified. So that has worked and the user has been successfully verified. If we go back to Postman and try to send another request, then we see a response that says email already verified and the user doesn't need to do anything anymore. So this is working as expected. Again, we had to do some manual stuff here just because we are testing this in Postman. But when we go to Nuxt, this will be an easy thing to do. We won't have to do any manual work and we'll just grab the URL and work with it as is.